Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women in Motorsport. Joe San Diego, along with Ben Schneider and Daniel Zeri from Racers, the girls behind the helmet. A big welcome and thank you to our Patreon subscribers, Colin the Show, Mark and Robin, and David, our newest Patreon subscriber. You too can invest in the Grid Network. Link in the video description in less than 5 minutes. Help us get to $500 a month. That'll get folks to the tracks each and every month. And of course, a big thank you to our one-time contributors from Buy Me a Coffee. You can buy a coffee for us here at the Grid Network or for a specific on-air personality right here on the Grid Network. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment with your questions and opinions. And especially Daniel Ben, F1 Academy, quite a lot of news for the 2023 drivers lineup. Last week, Carlin Campos, they completed their lineup. This week, ART Grand Prix, they announced their lineup and came to a surprise as many. Chloe Grant from the United Kingdom has taken the seat, the final one with ART. Then MP Motorsports, we have Emily Duhaus from the W Series. She's coming to F1 Academy. And then Amna and Hamda Al Kabasi, both of them, two sisters on the grid. I know quite a bit of brothers on the grid. We see it on NASCAR, Ferries, Motorsport Series. Now having two sisters on the grid. I think that's something a lot of folks are excited about. But this leaves one seat open at Prima. Chloe Chong has gotten the second seat in Prima. I have to ask you, Ben and Daniel, this question before we get into the details of the new drivers, because while we're excited to see all the new drivers coming in, pair of sisters, drivers that we haven't seen in W Series before, one spot left, and there's still no American driver. There's been rumors swirling about there's going to be at least one American driver. Are you surprised for a series that's wanting to promote women in motorsports, increase American following, especially with F1? We know F1 is really trying to get more American viewers. Still, there's no American driver on the grid.
Yeah, well, and especially considering, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I think COTA is the final race of the season, right? That's where the championship race is going to be held. So, I think it's certainly a little surprising. Obviously, that's no disrespect to any of the women that have been selected for these seats so far. But I would certainly think that there would be, people within the series or within the teams that would see the benefit of having an American driver on the grid. And certainly I think, there's a sour taste in a lot of American fans' mouths from what Andretti's having to go through right now just to get onto the Formula One grid. This I don't think is as high of a scale in terms of, how much attention it's going to be grabbing, since this is a brand new series still. And of course, nothing compares to the top of the top level of Formula One, but it is kind of surprising to me. I know Chloe Chambers has kind of been in the mix, and I'll certainly defer to Daniel on that one. I think he can give us more information than I can there, but I am a little surprised. It sounds like, I guess we have one seat left here, and still no American signs, so it's a bit surprising to me.
Yeah, I think Ben hit the nail on the head there, because especially after all the arguments about the Andretti teams coming in, I think it was important, as he said. Also, the season finale will be at COTA, so that was also something that the American audience was looking forward to, and definitely the American public would like to have an American driver to cheer on. So I think that was possibly an important point, that so far we haven't seen an American driver selected. I think there are some very good drivers, also some of them that haven't been in the top series before, so that we will talk about that a bit later. But as Ben mentioned, in W Series that we had in the first year, we had Sabre Cook, that now she is racing she made her debut yesterday in Porsche Carrera Cup North America, so she effectively moved to GT racing, to sports car racing. And last year we had Chloe Chambers in W Series. She went on to racing the Formula Regional Oceania Championship, and she did extremely well. She also won a race, took a pole position, and won a race. So certainly quite a few people were expecting Chloe Chambers to possibly move to the new F1 Academy. That has not happened yet. There's just one seat left at Prema, and the rumors is that that seat will be announced in next week, and possibly it is already being taken. So we are really looking forward to discover more about the last seed. But if it happens that there will not be American drivers on the grid, I think the closest to an American driver that we will get is Maite Cáceres. She's racing at Campos, and she's currently based in Barcelona, and she's obviously she's from Uruguay. Uruguay born, but before moving here in Europe to Barcelona for university, she was based in Miami. So if we don't get an American driver, that might end up being the closest to an American driver that we will get.
Reminds me of when Pietro Fittipaldi stood in for Roman Grosjean at Haas, and everybody was talking about Haas finally having an American-born driver, because of course the Fittipaldis are born in Miami, but they race under the Brazilian flag. So I guess kind of a similar situation there, maybe.
Exactly. Good point. Yes.
It's just really interesting, the points you all bring out. And one of the big things I just feel, especially with this brand new series, having at least one American would be a really big benefit when you're trying to grow an American fan base too, large TV market here. I'm just sort of shocked, but at the same time, we do know, compared to W Series, where W Series funding was not an issue, here they reduced it to where you don't have to bring millions of dollars, but still, funding can be an issue and a barrier for some drivers. Now, Daniel, I know we talked quite a bit about some of the drivers that were announced. The Hamda, both from the Formula 4. We know Hamda had an injury recently to her arm, but she's recovering from that. Most of us, we remember Emily from last year in the W Series. It was her first year there, so nothing really stood out from her rookie season there. But I think a lot of folks, especially with the very similar car, looking for her to really try to step up. But for those unfamiliar with Chloe Chong, what's their background in racing?
Yeah, well, Chloe Chong and Chloe Grant are the youngest on the grid announced so far. Chong is by far the youngest. She's 15. She's British born, but also has dual citizenship with Canada. Her father is Canadian, is Chinese Canadian, and she is effectively stepping up from karting. So she will have her very first year in race cars. That is also the only driver on the grid that has never raced in cars before. So from Chloe, I think we are just really looking to a driver that will have a learning season in single seaters. She will have the opportunity, to do so in an all-female championship. So and with as you perfectly summed up, with a capped budget, so there will not be those massive budgets that you need, for example, for a series like the Italian Formula 4. So she will have a learning season at a lower budget, which kind of makes sense, and with Prima, so really one of the very top teams. So that is going to be interesting to see Chloe Chong making some progress. I think at the very beginning we will mainly try to see the progress that she will do on compared to the other drivers that have effectively a lot more experience than her. She was the finalist of the Women's Motorsport supported FIA Rising Stars program, the Girls on Track Rising Stars program. That in the latest edition, she was among the 4 finalists and went to Maranello for the FDA selections. And the same thing is also valid for Chloe Grant. She was also one of the 4 finalists, but she's 16, so 1 year older. Grant, compared to Chong, had a season in Formula 4 last year in the UK. It was not actually these Formula 4 cars, but they were the previous generation Formula 4, and the championship was the GB4 championship. So and she did pretty well. She did 8 top 10 finishes in that series, also 2 top 5 finishes, P4 as her best result last year in Brands Hatch. So a driver that we've seen racing last year, that was her first season in race cars. So not a huge amount of experience from Grant, but at least 1 season in single seaters compared to Chong. And I do believe that they will have some great progress. Those are 2 drivers that really we will be looking forward to see learning this year, especially of course Chong in Prema, but also Art Grand Prix. You know, there's been some good drivers there.
Joe, I think you're muted.
A lot of good drivers overall. I think it's going to be a really great season to see the inaugural F1 Academy and the different aspects. You have some former W Series drivers. You got some drivers coming from the karting level. It's going to be really exciting. And then I think some of the new tracks where we're not going to see F1, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. F1 Academy, a little bit more than a month away. First race, April 27th, 28th in Austria. Still no update, official announcement about the W Series 2023 plans. And of course, we will follow that right here in the Grid Network. And of course, all the latest on F1 Academy, including when the last seat is claimed. But Ben, one of the races we have to talk about this past weekend, the ARCA Menard Series in Phoenix, the General Tire 150. And we had one female racer there, Tony Bredinger. Great qualifying effort. 9th place. She got some sponsorship to make this race happen. I was in the top 10 for just about, it seems, most of the race. However, a good race came to an end with less than 20 laps to go. Contact, crashed into the wall, was done for. After the race, she said she was dumped on social media. Did you see it that way when it came to that incident in the closing laps?
Yeah, well, it was even less than that. It ended up being less than 20 laps in the finish because there was a red flag, and unfortunately, D.L. Wilson was injured in the crash, so there was a long cleanup there and some safety concerns to take care of as well. So the race was extended quite a bit with a couple of overtimes. It was really more like 4 or 5 laps from the finish. I mean, she really did have a great run going. And actually, if we could put us all up on screen here, because I want to be talking to Daniel as well when I say this to both of you guys here. I've been very appreciative of the opportunities that you've given me to come on this show and help promote women in motorsport, particularly in the ARCA Menard Series at that level and in the stock car level with NASCAR. I think what we have here is a great program. It gives us the opportunity to put the spotlight on these women in motorsport and who are trying to make their way up through the ranks here. And I think it's a great thing that we do to give them the promotion and the attention that they deserve. At the same time, as is the case with all our shows, I think we have to be honest and truthful with the analysis that we give. And I think, you know, it's kind of hard to deny that when you look at what Tony Breidinger has had in her ARCA career, many times being not just with the top team venturing in motorsports, but oftentimes in the flagship number 25 car, it's hard to deny that she's been a little bit off the pace compared to her Venturini teammates. She's attracted a lot of criticism. Sometimes it's even come from me, you know, looking at her being multiple laps down and saying, you're driving for a top team, you've got to be, you know, on the lead lap at the very least if you want to be taken seriously. And, you know, Tony struggled to do that at times. But for this particular night, last week, I guess 7 days ago already at Phoenix, she was having what was going to be unequivocally the best run of her ARCA Menard Series career. It was really, really great to see her running as well as she was, solidly in the top 10 all night long, which is where we expect a Venturini car to be. And Tony was doing everything she could to hold that position and hopefully bring the car home in one piece and have a great run. And it's unfortunate that with just a few laps to go, the final result sheet, the box score, race results, if you will, is not going to reflect that. And I know Tony sent a tweet out just simply tagging Leland Honeyman Jr. and had that garbage emoji or whatever that she sent that kind of got a lot of attention and went semi-viral there before the race was even over. She was very quick to send that tweet out. If you look at what happened, you know, reminds me, I was just going back to look at it because, again, it's been several days already before we came on the show. It reminds me of how Haley Deegan won her 3rd race in the K&N West Series at Colorado. Derek Kraus, I think there were some people trying to defend Haley and say that, well, Derek actually came down a little bit, even though Haley certainly drove it in deeper than she probably would have if it hadn't been the last lap. So I suppose if you're a Leland Honeyman Jr. fan, you could maybe make the argument that Tony was trying to make sure that she made the corner and Leland Honeyman was already committed to going on the inside. But, you know, I could certainly see from Tony's perspective as well. I think she had every right to be upset because it was going to be the best run of her ARCA career by a mile. And she was flirting with the top 5 even there at some points during the race. I think she probably would have ended up somewhere between 6th or 8th, which would have been a great run for her. So it's just very unfortunate that that's the final product that we see. And she ends up, I don't even know if she was in the top 20 when it was all said and done, maybe just outside there, 21st or something. But Yeah, I mean, it was very unfortunate for her, and I hope that she can get another opportunity to try to close the deal on a strong run later this year. I know she's going to be full time in the GR Cup, so I don't know how many ARCA races she's necessarily going to be able to get to do this year. But don't let the box score and final result reflect the run that she had Friday night, because it was the best run of her ARCA career, and she deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, she was having a great run. Very unfortunate to end out outside the top 20. Next ARCA race, of course, was going to be Talladega. Then we know Tony, she's looking at planning to be at Talladega. We have Amber, we have Mandy coming back. And one common thing, not just the three of them, but a lot of ARCA drivers have to deal getting sponsorship, trying to recruit sponsors to fund racing opportunities. For Tony, especially with her performance at Phoenix, do you think there's potential to pick up more sponsorship entering the Talladega race weekend and overall maybe extending a little bit more of her ARCA experience for 2023?
Well, again, she is full time in another series for Toyota, so I'm not sure if she would even be able, how the schedules align. I don't have them both pulled up here in front of me. I don't know off the top of my head, but Tony obviously has a lot of individual partners and endorsement deals as well. I don't know if just one race at Phoenix is going to be enough to bring more partners on board by itself. I think it certainly doesn't hurt, and it might lead to a couple more races. I don't know if she's going to run the West Series race, the season finale, when ARCA comes back to Phoenix for the championship weekend. I suppose that might be an option, but obviously Talladega is going to be another good opportunity for her as well. Obviously, Venturini bring very, very strong Toyotas to Daytona and Talladega every time we go there, so I think it's going to be another good chance for her to put this behind her and still use the good run that she was on pace to have and did have for much of the night, and take that as a huge momentum boost for her to try to move forward with this season, try to salvage a good result. And, if she continues to run the way that she did at Phoenix, again, I don't know if she's at the point where we can say she's a contender for the win on a weekly basis, but certainly if she can be more consistent in racking up these top 10s, maybe even get a top 5 here, I think that would be a great step forward for Tony Breidinger.
Definitely, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of progress she could do this year. And then, of course, ARCA, Talladega, that's going to be a race we're definitely going to be following. I think a lot of folks, as Talladega, great equalizer, essentially. A lot can happen there. Now, Daniel, one of the big race weekends, we know a lot of folks are going to be watching Sebring. You got the Sebring 1000 and the 12 hours. And we had a historic poll, actually, yesterday from Sebring.
We had the massive weekend at Sebring, as you mentioned, with both the FIA World Endurance Championship starting its new era with a lot of new cars, hypercars, and new interesting drivers lineup. And we are seeing Iron Dames coming back to the series this time with a new brand car. They're not more racing with the Ferrari 488 GTE. Of course, they are switched to the Porsche 911 RSR GTE. It's just one season for them with the Porsche, because of course the next year the GTE car will not be anymore racing in WEC, but we will see the GT3 cars in WEC. So they will effectively race with the Lamborghini cars that are now they are now racing in both the IMSA and also in GT World Challenge Europe. So big moments for Iron Dames coming into the new season with a new car, but nothing has really changed, because they're picking up from where they left, because the Sarbovi had the pole position in Bahrain at the season finale last year, and Sarbovi just put the Porsche number 85 on pole position for the 1,000 miles of Sebring. So that was a really, really big moment for the FIA WEC. Sarah has been quite a qualifying master, as I nicknamed her, because she's really one of the strongest bronze drivers that we are seeing worldwide. She's really, really strong in that car. But I would say that also from the WEC prologue last week, and also in free practice, we are seeing a really fast Porsche. And Iron Dames are so far the team that really is putting that Porsche to the maximum of its potential. Michelle Gatting especially was extremely fast in all the practice sessions. So far, they've led 3 out of the 4 practice sessions, and Michelle Gatting was the fastest driver in the prologue. So I do believe that we are about to witness a very interesting WEC first race with Iron Dames. They're also, interestingly, Michelle is one of the fastest of the trio, but from Michelle to Sarah, there's like less than half a second, which is incredibly close for an endurance race like this, and especially from looking also at the other drivers lineup. So I think possibly we are in for a great season start for Iron Dames in WEC. But of course, we also have the 12 hours for the IMSA race, the second round after the Daytona 24-hour race. Their Iron Dames are racing with the Lamborghini, as I mentioned. They've not been so fast like they are with the Porsche. They are around the top 15 so far, so that we will see qualifying later today. So hopefully we will see some good results for Iron Dames. They are not the only female drivers on track, because of course in IMSA also we have Ashton Harrison in the 1993 Acura. She's been really fast so far. She's around the top 5 in the IMSA race, so that's really cool to see. And she was really close to our podium finish in Daytona. Same things goes for the other Acura, the Gradient Racing Acura with Catherine Legg and Sheena Monk. They've not been as fast as they've been in Daytona, but possibly they're also in for a top 5 finish, which will be incredibly cool. But also in WEC we have some really cool female drivers. One in LMP2, and which is a debut, because it is Dorian Pan making her debut in LMP2. She was racing, of course, last year in Ferrari Challenge. She won the Ferrari Challenge Europe. And she's straight into LMP2, and she was P1 in free practice. So it's really cool to see Dorian really being on top of her game again for Prema. And she's racing in a strong team. She's sharing the car with a factory driver Mirko Bortolotti and former Formula One driver Daniel Kvyat. And straight at the beginning in prologue, after the first session where Kvyat was the fastest of the trio, Dorian, after the second session, became the fastest of these 3 drivers. So that's incredibly cool to see. And also, we have Lilou Wadou, a new factory driver for Ferrari. She is also been the fastest of her team for the Richard Mille sponsored number 83 car in the GTE category, which this year we don't have anymore the GTE Pro and the GTE Am. We only have one big GTE class. And of course, we have Iron Dames on pole, but also Lilou Wadou will start from P4. So also another very competitive female driver to look up for in the upcoming 2 races. We have the WEC race starting later on today at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and then the IMSA race tomorrow.
Very exciting weekend over at Sebring. I encourage everyone, be sure for the Sebring 12 hours, we'll have a special Grid Life pre-race. Kobe Lambeth and Casey Campo will be on that program to preview the second round of the 2023 IMSA Sebring, just Sebring 12 hours. And of course, they'll have a brief recap of the WEC race today at Sebring. Now, one race weekend that occurred last week as well, the NHRA, they kicked off their season with the Gator Nationals. First race of 2023. And of course, we have 2 female racers that are defending champions in their respective class, starting with Top Fuel, Brittany Force. She got the championship last year in the countdown, coming from behind, dramatic fashion. Came out fastest in qualifying, was number 1, but lost to Mike Salinas, who was the 8th fastest in the second round. So Salinas, he continued on, and then he defeated Leah Pruitt in the semifinal rounds to get his first win. Leah Pruitt, she came home fourth place in the points, and Brittany Forbes, fifth place in the points. Of course, the point system works where the winner, of course, advances to the next round. Second, the losers are then ranked by their qualifying positions. So even though Leah Pruitt got one round ahead, she got fourth. Brittany Forbes, being that top qualifier, that at least established her to get a fifth place and fifth in the points. Funny car, we have Alexis DeJoria. She was in there, qualified ninth, defeated Cruz Pentagon, and then the big upset, Ron Capps, the fastest qualifier in funny car, was able to knock him out. Overall, great effort. Got to the semifinal rounds, but lost to Matt Hagan, who went on to win the race for funny cars. She is now fourth place in the points in the funny car points standings. So a great start for her 2023 season. And then pro stock. We saw Camry Caruso, who got rookie honors last year. She qualified 12th, did not make it out of the first round. Unfortunate break for her. Erica Enders, the defending champion of Pro Stock, qualified second for Pro Stock class. But here's the big thing. She was eliminated in the first round. She didn't even make it to the start line. Her car would not start up. She missed the call to get to the start line. So unfortunately, her day was done without making a racing attempt. Very unfortunate break. Erica Enders, of course, by being the second fastest qualifier, she came home ninth in the points, and Camry is 12th. Pro stock bikes, we had three female races with Kelly Klontz, Gianna Evaristo, and Angie Smith in the field. Now, Kelly qualified 13th, did not advance out of round one, and Gianna did get into round two, but lost to Matt Smith. Angie Smith, she qualified 7th, and she put on a great day together, coming up to the final round, but coming one position short from the win, losing to Gage Herrera. Angie is second in the points, a great start for the 2023 points. And overall, first race weekend of the NHRA season, sponsored by Camping World, in the books. March 24th through the 26th is the NHRA Arizona Nationals. That's the next round. Of course, definitely we're going to be trying to follow all the action when it comes to the National Hot Rod Association. And all year long, of course, be sure to visit Racers Behind the Helmet. Dan, what are some of the upcoming races you're going to be following this weekend?
Well, definitely the Sebring super weekend is up on our charts this weekend, and we have a news just in. The number 93 Acura with Ashton Harrison and driven by Kyle Marcelli now has put the the car on pole for the IMSA race. So that's great news for Ashton. Only at her second race in IMSA, she will start from pole position in the 12 hours of Sebring. Also, of course, the WEC race and the IMSA race will be the top two races that we will follow. But also at Sebring, we had the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge with the reigning champion Taylor Hagler. They raced yesterday evening. She was a P5, so a decent race for them. It's not been a great start of the season for the reigning champion of the Brian Head Autosport, but still a top 5, which is great. And then she hopped on a plane straight and went straight to Germany because she will race in the first time at the Nürburgring Nordschleife in the first round of the NLS. So interestingly, also to see Taylor making her debut over here in Europe. But also we had the yesterday the two races of the Porsche Carrera Cup in North America with Sabre Cook making her first starts there, and I thought she was absolutely fantastic because in a 41 car field she was P15 and P16. Actually in race 2 she was P14, but then she got a 10-second penalty for a contact. So two results around the top 15 in a 41 car field at the very first starts in a GT3 car. I thought it was absolutely amazing. So we will try to get some feedback from Sabre in the next coming hours, and we will report on our rest of the season here on the show.
Definitely going to be really interesting to see the rest of the season and overall a big race weekend. And we encourage everyone to be sure to go visit the website racersbehindthehelmet.com. There you can get a full spotlight of all the races going on, the upcoming race weekends, all across the world, everywhere. And we encourage everyone to be sure to check out the interviews from all the drivers that they feature as well on the website a lot at racersbehindthehelmet.com. Be sure to bookmark it, save it, so that way you don't miss any of the racing news, recaps, and interviews on a great website. And Dan puts in a lot of work, and definitely encourage everyone to check it out. And before we go off the air, it's time for our one shining moment where we share our shining moment from this past race weekend. Daniel, starting with you, what was your one shining moment?
I would say that this week it was not about racing, but the shining moment was really the all the announcements that came in the last couple of days for F1 Academy, because we have had like one or two announcements, maybe sometimes some weeks not, and then we had like 5 drivers in 2 days. So that was really my shining moment, because also a lot of work for for the announcement, but also finally the grid is taking shape. So that was my shining moment.
You're muted.
Oh. I knew I was going to do that, and I still forgot to switch over, and then I unmuted myself and muted myself back again. So hope you can hear me now, right? We got me now?
Yep.
Okay. If you watched the Chili Bowl, you might remember the name Jade Avedissian. She became a second female driver to advance to the A-Main after Kayla Bryson did it last year and also did it again this year. She celebrated her 3rd career victory in the Extreme Outlaw Midget Series on Saturday night. So I want to give a shout out to her. She's only 16 years old. She's got a very bright future ahead of her. That's my one shining moment for women in motorsport this past week.
For me, my one shining moment has to go from the NHRA side. Alexis DeJoria having a great start to the season. Last year, she had sponsorship from Rocket. Of course, if we all remember, that was the same sponsor that we saw for Tatiana Calderon, as well as Kyle Kirkwood. We know what happened with Rocket, so she lost the sponsorship, was able to land another sponsorship deal for her, and then to get to the semifinal runs, a great effort from her and her team to start off this 2023 season strong in the National Hot Rod Association Funny Car Division. So that is my one shining moment. We encourage everyone, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on the video, especially if there's a driver you want to share as your one shining moment, an event. And of course, follow us throughout social media. We're all over TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And don't forget, pick a winner each and every week. Comment with who you think is going to win each race. Invest in the Grid Network. You could do that through a one-time investment through Buy Me a Coffee, or you could buy coffee for our on-air personality. And be sure to try our Patreon. Give it a shot. You could go for as little as $5 a month. Help us get to our goal of $500 a month so we can start traveling to the tracks more frequently, bringing you even better coverage from the raceways with the drivers, get more interviews. Definitely help the Grid Network expand, and be sure to subscribe because we're getting closer and closer to our goal of 1,000 subscribers before the Indianapolis 500. We're getting really close to 600, which will only put us 400 away. So very exciting time here at the Grid Network. For Daniel Zeri at Racers, the girls behind the helmet, and Ben Schneider, I'm Joe Samaniego. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time, and enjoy the races. Thank you for watching us right here on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos, including Life on the Grid, where we interview folks from the motorsports industry. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.